Then God took man, and he said after he told him to have dominion, he says, I'm placing you in a place called Eden. Somebody show Eden. Eden cannot be found. We know the Garden of Eden. All kinds of people have been looking for Eden, but Eden cannot be found. Therefore, I went to the etymology of the word to find out what does Eden really mean. Eden means a delightful place, a place of delight. There are some scholars that say Eden is the presence of God. So God placed Adam in a delightful place in the presence of God. But what I found interesting, beloved, is that God gave Adam delight before he gave him a woman. Man, I need you back in here. Man, I need you back in here. God gave Adam delight before he gave him a woman. And I'm going to take my legs when I get home, that's fine. Because God is not ignorant. God knows that when the woman comes into the picture, as much value as she adds, you need to have a place of delight outside of a woman, because the woman will try you. Let's be honest, man. So, amen. God gave Adam a place of delight. He gave him his presence. But you see, in our world now, we teach our boys, find a girlfriend fast. We teach our boys, connect with a woman, because that's where you go find your happiness. And as soon as the woman dump you, you're looking now for a city center. Let's be honest, beloved, because we have failed to understand what God desires is for us to find delight in Him first. Once we find delight in Him, if chaos is happening in the house, then I go back to the place of delight and say, God, I delighted in your presence before I found this woman. She's about to drive me crazy, so I'm coming back to my place of delight. Beloved men, I tell you, find the presence of God first. Find that place of delight, and once you found that place of delight, then everything else will come after. God placed him in the place of delight called Eden, but then he told him something else. Anybody can guess? He told him, tend and keep it. What does that mean? Somebody should work. Work. Now we have raised a generation of so-called men, but really boys, who ain't want to work. Once you have a PlayStation, a Nintendo, once you could watch the greatest football in Messi all day, every day, you could watch reruns of NBA, you are satisfied. But man, we are called, somebody to show the word. Man, we got to work. Now somebody quote the argument and said, but Raul, truth be told, you know, house husbands, that's work as well. Because if you ask the housewives, that's work. Any housewives in the house, you would say that housewives at work. They clean, they cook, they take care, they wash. So if the man does all of that, that's work as well. But it is when he is doing absolutely nothing that the problem arises. Therefore, God says, Adam, I've put you in my presence, work. But Genesis 2:18 says, at that point, it is not good for that man to be alone. Some version says, this man to be alone. And I said, well, God, what man? He says, the man who is carrying my image, who has dominion, who is in God's presence, and who is working, it is not good for that man to be alone. Therefore, if you are not carrying his image, if you don't have dominion, you are not managing, if you are not in his presence and you're not working, it's good for you to be alone. Somebody so ouch. And that man now, I will make a helper for him. But let's jump back to come forward. God says after he's created the man and the woman now in chapter 1 verse 28, God then blessed them. And God said, be fruitful and multiply. So the question then is, who should be fruitful and multiply? Let's go back to scripture. The man who carries God's image, the man who has dominion, the man who is in God's presence, the man who is working, and the man who God gives a wife to, that couple should be fruitful and multiply. Somebody should ouch. The problem is that we have many men who are following the multiplication, but are not carrying his image, not in his presence. They're in working, and they don't have a wife. But the thing about our God is that he doesn't prohibit imitation. Therefore, if you have a man and a woman who don't fit that criteria, they can multiply. But the problem is, we talk about being fruitful and multiply. So have children, be fruitful and multiply. But what many people are doing is multiplying, but not bearing fruit. And beloved, that is our problem. The imitation of multiplication with no fruitfulness. Therefore, we have many men whose imitation of procreation is the production of confusion, which manifestation is the violation of God's creation.
Do it again, do it again.
So we dealt with the man. We understand how the man progresses to become husband, and then how husband becomes father. Whose responsibility, men? The father's responsibility is now to multiply himself through his offspring, so that they will now carry God's image, have dominion, reside in his presence, work, find significant others, and then be fruitful and multiply. But then there are those, beloved, who they're carrying God's image, they have dominion, they reside in his presence, they work, but they never find significant others. Then there are those who do find significant others, but they can't multiply. But here's this. That's when you can bear fruit.
Yes, preach it.
And it is here now that I would like to begin the message.
Woo!
Because I told y'all I was speaking from which book?
Esther.
I was just speaking from where?
Genesis.
So that was just introductory.
Woo!
Tell your neighbor, you can now start the timer.
All right.
Because this is the real message really starts.
All right, Royal, see.